water, enjoying the nice clean water we have here. And I'm just about to join her. Bye for now. Hi guys, it's Sunday, day of rest, but I couldn't help having a peek at the solar, see what's happening. This is the new starboard one on the solar arch. Today we've a maximum voltage, or wattage rather, of 1213 watts. Now the two panels, each panel is 550, so the two panels has a maximum of 1100 watts, so it's 113 watts over its maximum, and it's supposed to be a maximum of 92 volts. Sorry, a maximum of 90 volts, and it's 92.2 volts. So doing pretty well. Yesterday we got 1160, which is 60 watts over the maximum, and 91.33, which is 1.33 volts over the maximum. Whew, unbelievable. And just for comparison, this is the Newport's ones, the solar arch ones, and again it's a maximum of 1100 watts with 550 per panel, and there's two panels, so that's 114 watts over the maximum and just a fraction over the maximum of 90 volts. And yesterday 1196, so 96 watts over the maximum and 91.98, so 2 volts for cash over the maximum. Amazing, these panels, really. Here we are guys, it's Good Friday, and I just thought we'd have a look at the solar. It's not a completely sunny day, it's kind of a hazy sunny day, but we're hovering around the 3000 watts solar. We have a maximum of about 3500 and something watts, which we never get to. I've seen 3100 or so, 3200, but no more than that. The advantage of having so much solar is that I've got the hot water on for our showers later, which is using up 1400 watts, and we're still getting 1000 watts into the batteries, which is pretty impressive, really. So there we go, 3000 watts. Very nice indeed. Oh, there's two. There's two of them. Yeah. Good morning guys. Did a job to replace some of this Sikaflex around the windows here at the front. It's a beautiful morning here in the anchorage. For a long time now we've had water coming in downstairs and we couldn't work out where it was coming from. And basically through a process of elimination we've come to the belief that it's this window. When we looked at it carefully, you could see cracks in the Sikaflex. It's not these bits here, that's me starting to work the Sikaflex out, but there were big cracks just there where my finger was, and in a number of other places. So we're going to replace some of it. The other side is not quite as bad. It's similar but not quite as bad, and we did do a repair to this other side window previously because of the same sort of problems, and I fear we're going to have to do this as well. The crack comes all the way up there, and when the water comes it comes rushing up there, splashes into the window and forces itself through these little cracks, and then dribbles down and works its way downstairs through the air conditioning vents, which is really rather annoying. So that's the job for today. It's a difficult job getting it out. It's a long, tedious job. When Sandra and I did the rear aft cabin in port side, we discovered that once you got a bead you could get a hold of it and pull it out. But it's quite difficult keeping it going. We're not going to do it all, just down to about here and about here on this side, and then where I've cut it up there in the middle. We're also going to do a bit on this side as well. So, plenty of work to do. Bye for now. Okay, our tomahawk steak is going on. I'm not quite sure how to cook this. Obviously we want it nice and sort of seared on the outside, but we also want it sort of cooked in the inside a bit. I don't want it raw, but we don't want it overcooked either. So what I'm going to do is put it on at a sort of medium to high heat and try and cook it sort of slowly on the outside all over, and then I'll turn it up and sort of try and crisp up the fat on the back here, on the back of the bone, and also the meat a little bit when it gets closer to being done. But I've never cooked a tomahawk before, and ideally I would be doing it on a barbecue, but we don't have one, so it's our little Thailand grill. Okay, so I think old Tommy here is close to being done. I've got it heat turned up now, it's not to max, but quite a long way up, and I've lowered the grill pan down so it's having more impact on the meat. So hopefully that is going to crisp it up a little bit on the outside, a little bit of a crunch, and also help to cook all the way through and caramelise more of the fat. So to stuff this chicken leg on that we had, I did it initially in the air fryer with the veggies. Well, here we have Tommy on the table.
Tommy.
Whether he's overcooked or undercooked, I'm really not quite sure, but we're just going to dive in and test it, see what we think. Mix
Compliments to the chef today.
Banana. Well, here we are, it's Friday morning, the 10th of March, and the motors are running. We've got the bridle up, we've got Eric here who's assisting because Sandra had our operation yesterday and is somewhat handicapped. So we're just about to go to Marina to get the work started on replacing our shrouds and also our forestay. Bye for now. Okay, so the anchor is up, we're off the ground. Okay, approaching the entrance. There's a marker boy there.
Markers, boys. Yeah.
There.
We're about to run over one just now, so let's go another port.
We're going to need the boats hooked on?
Yeah, probably.
I think he comes and sees you with the dinghy.
Okay.
Is this the channel that they...
Yes, supposedly. Feel free to give her a call.
Marina, Marina, not so bad. Marina, not so bad.
Hola, buenos días. Esther. Okay.
Stop. Stop, stop.
I haven't got a handbrake. Okay, since I made the earlier video, we've moved. Sandra, I think, probably took some video as we were moving and so on. And now we're in position. Louise is at the top of the mast, releasing the starboard shroud, which is the one that's got the splits in it. And then they're going to bring it down. They're using the main halyard to steady the mast in the meantime. And bringing it down. The work goes on. Great. Okay, so Louiso's coming down. I think he's detached the starboard shroud, attached it to some line or other, and it's no longer attached at the base here. So Luis is still at the top of the mast, or back up at the top of the mast. He's now fitted the second new stay. So we now have new stays, port and starboard side. They're slightly tightened, obviously not fully tightened, just to stop the mast falling down. Forestay comes down. No longer attached at the top.
Posa en un sitio. Venga, vale, sigue más adelante.
Okay, they're back with the new forestay, but for some reason they're really lamping the top of the drum with a big lump of wood. I hope they're not breaking it. I don't know what's going on, but it's really rather concerning. Well, this is the third attempt to get it up the mast. It's fallen down twice. Once it fell in the water, you can see the water dripping off the thing. And the second time it smashed down on the deck. God knows how it didn't break something. It actually pushed the U-shaped end fitting too tight, so they had to bend it open again. It really sort of fills me with horror about this whole thing. A lot of money for this, and this is not what I like to hear. It's going up the mast. Hopefully it's not going back down this time. Bye for now. So now they're tensioning the rig using a proper machine. When it's been done in the past, they've just done it by feel and eye and so on, and this is obviously more accurate. But he had to cut a bit of our plastic off to do it, so that's a bit annoying, but probably worth the effort. Okay guys, I've been meaning to do this ever since we had the new rigging fitted, and now that I'm making the video of it, I'm just getting around to doing it. I wanted to show you what it's like with the proper tension, because this was tensioned using the machine, whereas, as I said previously, it's just been done using experience, eyeball and feel. So this is it. I'm giving it a pretty good rattle, and you can see it moves, but not a hell of a lot. So that is what proper tension looks like, I guess. Bye for now. Well, with all hands on deck, we managed to get the generator back on, just attaching the no rip tie out the bottom of it to stop it ripping out the channel, and then we can roll it up. We never got around to fixing that pouch. Okay, so now the work is done and we've got to get out of here without hitting anything. The problem is we had to come in and go over two buoys which are in the water behind us. Louisa there is trying to untie us from one of them, and Eric's on the other side trying to untie us from. Okay, well, this is all very nerve-wracking. Right, Louisa!
Okay, go back. Yeah, it's okay.
What happened? What happened? Stop, John! Reverse! Reverse!
Okay. I'm trying to, Sandra.
You're free, John.
Thank you.
I'm on board, John.
Good.
You can go.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Oh, what a stressful time. We've got to get out between these two markers. There's two on the left and one on the right. Okay, we're out. Goodness gracious, how stressful was that? And we haven't paid anything either, but that's another story. Bye for now. We're rushing to get back and get the anchor down before it gets too dark. I don't like going to these places in the dark. It's very shallow, very narrow, lots of buoys, lots of boats. Okay, so that brought in the flash, that was a bit surprising. We are eventually parked, we think, in a similar place to where we were when we left this morning. We dropped the anchor the first time and I felt we were a bit too far back, too close to Tom and our port side. So we hauled up the anchor and we hooked an electrical cable and it came up with the anchor. We then had a god awful job getting it off, but our main man here, Eric, got it done for us, got it off, and we motored it forward a few more yards and dropped it again. So hopefully this time we're in the final position. We've done 7.66 miles, 7.5 miles or so for the month, and we've done just on a mile for today.